Hello Indie fans, I have some sick upcoming titles to look forward to, including 3D platformers, action games, and some titles which you can play right now, so let's begin with Dynamite Flare, a cartoony beat-em-up title that looks absolutely gorgeous, in which you play as a bounty hunter, taking on contracts and hunting down criminals for fame and fortune, and looks absolutely fantastic. I saw this comment in one of my latest videos, which says take a shot whenever he says roguelite, and bottoms up since Lone Soul is a roguelite action RPG with an isometric camera angle. It looks pretty good and seems to have some Hades inspiration in terms of the patrons that you can call upon, where our hero is exploring a mythical tower, fighting enemies and bosses with powerful combos and abilities, along with an itemization system, and has a fantasy meets space kind of setting which seems cool. This video is brought to you by Takara Cards, a tactical roguelite deck builder RPG in which you play as a space cadet, searching for the legendary space dragons who stole from the Federation, which is releasing out of early access today, 17 January 2025. You embark on a journey through the cosmos, building your deck and choosing from a variety of maneuver and equipment cards earned in story events, level ups, and stores. With 4 unlockable races, each with its unique ship, there will be plenty of replayability in every run for you to test out new strategies and builds, earn extra XP in combat by doing a chain of combos, but plan your turns carefully so that you don't run out of resources, since you might even have to resort to using your whole ship as a weapon. There is a reputation or character background system, which are passive effects which affect the game, along with karma due to your interactions, which can change your reputation. There's also voice acting and hand-painted art inspired by 80s anime, and is a cleverly designed if underrated title, so if interested, buy it via the link in the description below. Here's a cool looking first person shooter named Forest Reigns, one that has survival and RPG elements set in a post-apocalyptic Paris, where a mysterious and evolving forest has taken over the city. This sentient entity has its own desires and intentions, and is not just part of the environment, but is a conscious being that interacts with you, the player, revealing its secrets and reacting to your choices in-game. There is a non-linear story with dozens of missions, having different factions to ally or fight against, where every decision influences the story's final outcome. The FPS combat looks alright, which is combined with customizable gear so you can choose how you want to play, but resources are scarce and danger is constant, so you need to scavenge, craft, and plan ahead to survive. It does make use of the location, since the reimagined Paris offers a fresh yet familiar setting, and I'm especially interested to see iconic landmarks reshaped by nature. There are, of course, deadly creatures and enemies in battle, checking all the boxes for a game like this, and looks high potential. This next title is on Kickstarter and is already fully funded, but you might want to still check out the campaign page for MINDWAVE for stretch goals and rewards. This is a micro game collection, so think WarioWare, where in-universe, a company has created a video game named MINDWAVE, where people link their brains together to compete in challenges of feeling and memories. There is a large cash prize at stake if you manage to defeat your opponents, and how this plays out is the intense, rapidly changing games which you need to react to as quickly as possible. It has a weird trippy look and vibe as well, and seems neat, even if 2027 seems far away, but there is a free demo on Steam, so you can check it out. Here's a cute looking choose your own adventure game named Pebbles Quest, in which the princess has been kidnapped by evil doers and imprisoned in the castle. And while this is not a gameplay trailer, screenshots and the text on the store page seems to indicate that this is a Dragon's Lair-like, but probably not as aggressive with wanting your quarters, and explicitly states Henry Stickmin as its inspiration, being a point-and-click title where you are clicking on arrows and stuff with an awesome art style, where this will be free as well, so be sure to wishlist the game. The developer of ANEURISM 4 did reach out, and I didn't know quite what to make of it, so I'm presenting it to you, so let me know what you think. This is a first and third person dystopian simulator with a multiplayer element set in the titular sprawling metropolis, in which you play as a spirit who is on the cusp of becoming flesh and bone again, being able to influence or simply observe the city. There's total freedom in this world in terms of what you can or cannot do, but you do need to work to earn credits to survive. You can take on the role of proletariat and work an honest job in the factories, or play as a banker who can manipulate finances. Credits are used to purchase goods and food, so there is a survival element that you need to consider, not only in filling your stomach, but also to watch your sanity. You can work to take down the city, or to protect it depending on your role and your choice, with two factions in the scumbags and zealots that you can join, or you could just remain neutral. Still, it's a super weird, super interesting looking title, and hey, that's why we all love indie games, isn't it? This update was actually from December, in which Karate Survivor released a free update titled Endless Mode, which of course allows you to try and survive for as long as possible. This Vampire Survivor style title is one of my favourites from last year, and feels different due to the melee combat focus, where if you had your fill with the different levels, this new mode traps you in a single screen and continues to throw enemies at you, so you need to be quick on your feet to avoid damage, and adds even more to this game. A very cool looking title is Folder Dungeon, the self-styled OS-themed roguelite dungeon crawler that looks like a PC interface, but where you are exploring the dungeon by clicking on folders and icons. As such, I think that this looks absolutely gorgeous, helped by the use of very bold colours, and does have cute art as well. There is a push your luck element, since you have to gather as many upgrades as possible, but have to find the exit folder before you overheat and shut down, looking like a very cleverly designed title. Another quick shout out goes to Monastery, a roguelite deck builder with a cool art style, which is currently in Steam Early Access. The developers have been hard at work updating the game, for example with the Dagger update in December 2024, which adds multiple types of daggers to the game. You will also notice that combat here is a bit different, since your character is in the middle of the screen and enemies come from both sides, as compared to just one side in other deck builders, which does have an effect on gameplay depending on which side you face and where you get attacked from, and might be of interest to fans of the genre. Alright, this is the roguelite block, so I wanted to give Sternly Worded Adventures a mention as well, where if you were on the early internet, I'm sure that this will look familiar to you, since yes, this is indeed inspired by Bookworm Adventures. It's a spelling title but framed as a roguelite, so think of the modern games in this space like Peglin, and replace Pachinko with Boggle and you get some idea. Also, I love it that the developer describes the game as having Yorkshire-sounding place names when talking about locations in the game, so there is a sense of charm and whimsy here, with an okay pixel art look, even if I have definitely seen that skeleton in another game before. I came across this title on Twitter and thought that it looked neat, since the developer of Muffles' Life Sentence are clearly going for something very specific in this dark humor RPG. This is set in a prison where the inmates are remade to match their crimes, so yes, it is as disturbing as it sounds. Our main character, Muffles, is a faceless inmate whose mouth has been sewn shut, and apparently there are unlockable faces which you can wear to swap identities and to gain new abilities. There is a card combat system but no random encounters, but also has puzzles and more, with the other characters looking to be a focus as well. This game will be released in episodes, with there being examples of developers successfully doing this in the past, which should work for this game, so if you like the macabre, put this on your wishlist. there are a surprising number of firefighter games for some reason, where aside from the simulation titles, the rest of them tend to be platformers where you are running into burning buildings to save people and animals and to get out safely, with Fire Hero Pixel Rescue being another such entry. This is a level-based title, so there are different buildings and stages to go into, each with, I assume, new and unique mechanics and challenges, where there is a 3 stars system in this game as well as collectible gold coins for some reason, so you should be able to replay levels, which kind of doesn't mesh with the theme, but still, it looks like a neat one of these. The ultra-minimalist look of OREBLAZE is quite different from the character model used on their Steam page, so putting that bait and switch aside, this is a mining-focused platformer which always has its place. This follows a long line of such titles from SteamWorld Dig to Dome Keeper, or going even further back, Super Motherlode or Dig Dug, having a similar kind of gameplay loop of digging for precious minerals and ore, selling that to get money to buy upgrades so that you can dig deeper, mine faster, carry more, and so on. There is, however, a combat element as well, with goblins and spiders to fight, and you do need to pay regular tribute to the king, so having to balance all of this is the gist of the game, but I'm a fan of the visual style, so it gets a mention.
How is everyone doing today?
The developer of Soulmates shared their game with me, describing it as Overcooked meets Guardians of the Galaxy, so of course I had to take a look. Being a chaotic co-op multiplayer party game where you and your crew are taking on missions in the universe. There are different stations to man on the ship, each with their own mini-game, where you need to communicate and work together if you want to succeed. The chaos of space means that you will come under attack, having to put out fires, man the weapons, charge the batteries and more, looking like a new take on Lovers in the Dangerous Space-Time but with a different camera perspective. You can even vote on where to go next, and will get new upgrades and unlock different difficulty levels, and certainly looks like fun with friends.
Go to play now.
A number of you have mentioned Kero Quest 64 in tweets and comments directed at me, so thank you for that, where there are but a few days left on their Kickstarter campaign at the time of recording, but you can still pledge your support. This is a collectathon 3D platformer that stars a blue frog who wants to stop a prince from abusing his powers and has to collect magical shards in order to do so. They have absolutely nailed the art style, and it does look like a game from the 90s, although I'm sure that there are modern things running under the hood, since the character can use his tongue as a grappling hook, for example. Still, if you love the classics like Banjo, this will certainly be of interest, and also has Galaxy Trail, makers of Freedom Planet, listed as their publisher, who do know a thing or two about platformers. If you love trains like my daughter seems to be these days, Locomoto will be of interest, a cozy life sim adventure game in which you play as a train conductor who can customize and expand your train, or catering to the needs of your colourful, fuzzy passengers. It looks pretty chill with the picturesque landscapes that you will move through, along with some light crafting elements, and has a lo-fi soundtrack and simply looks like a delight. One of the awesome things about indie games is that there is truly something for everyone, since we have such a wide spectrum of games, taking a hard left turn from the ultra-cozy previous title to Little Lighthouse of Horror. This is a psychological horror game that does use pixel art, but that does not exclude it from being creepy. You are manning a remote and isolated lighthouse and must confront your own growing unease and unexplained phenomena, having to manage resources, sanity, and survival. There are several real things that you need to keep track of, like food, oil, and supplies to keep the lighthouse operational, but also need to prevent complete madness from being isolated as well. Strange occurrences will erode your sanity, and you need to figure out what is real and what is not, and is based on the Flannan Owl's Lighthouse mystery, where 3 lighthouse keepers mysteriously vanished without a trace in the year 1900, so there's some real spooks behind this title as well. Going a bit further back, the developer of Bug Fables from 2019 did release the version 1.2 update to the game on its 5-year anniversary in November 2024, being a significant content update since it added a whole new fishing system, new medals, items, one new music track, the ability to team up with allies, and most importantly, a new post-game boss fight, where the timing might be a little strange, but if you have not played this Paper Mario RPG style game, it's a great time to play through it to completion. Here's a title which I would classify under the rascal or mischievous animal/creature simulator like Goat Simulator, where in GLUM you play as a grumpy goblin who has a magical boot, using it to kick all sorts of objects and enemies as you go on a rampage due to your lousy minion pay. The self-styled first-person booter has you kicking everything in sight, which does include allowing you to propel yourself up in the air, so there is some elements of traversal and platforming to go along with the kicking of enemies and other wacky stuff, and does look like fun. We also had the announcement of Little Gator Game in the Dark, a paid DLC to an excellent game from 2022, and is said to be an expansion-sized DLC which doubles the size of the game. Yes, that means there is a sizable amount of content here in the form of a new underground area in the caves. There is an entrance that has been there all along, which you will now be able to access, getting to a network of caves with new critters, treasure, and places to relax. There will also be returning familiar faces which you have to help, and is said to contain the cozy conclusion to this title, and given their reputation, I do have confidence in this release. Some of you asked in my community post about the GIF I posted, and that is indeed from Age of Darkness Final Stand, aka Medieval They Are Billions as a shorthand, being a defense-focused RTS title where you are defending against thousands of enemy units. Instead of zombies, these are like ghouls or something, so effectively the same thing, but with a different setting and visual style that does look pretty awesome. This marks the end of a 3-year early access period, which includes survival, campaign, and the all-new cooperative multiplayer mode so that you can play with a friend. It does currently sit at mixed reviews, with there still being complaints about bugs, save issues, audio stuttering, and especially pathfinding and enemy AI problems, so it is not exactly polished to the degree that some people expect for a 1.0. So hopefully it gets fixed, so bear that in mind, since the 65% launch discount does look pretty tempting. From the developer of Luck Be a Landlord comes, drumroll please, a Bullet Heaven roguelite. But seriously, Maze Mice has some innovation, since it is inspired by Pac-Man and the trailer is not lagging, but is trying to show you the gimmick that time only moves when you do, and could be something interesting to wrap your head around. One of the biggest announcements this week is the release confirmation of Everhood 2, an unconventional RPG that is the follow-up to a title from 2021, which has over 10,000 Steam reviews. While it looks like a rhythm game, you are in fact moving and dodging enemy attacks before landing your own, combined with classic JRPG style overworld exploration, items and equipment, as well as a cast of strange and unique characters to get to know. The setup is a bit strange and unconventional as well, since you are attempting to discover the colour of your soul and what lies beyond the river of death, and will be accompanied by a mystical raven who promises to retrieve your voice if you slay the Mind Dragon. As such, it is Undertale adjacent but is still doing its own thing, with the change in camera angle in combat being new and looks like a real trip. Ever see a game and just go, hell yeah? That's my reaction when I saw Dino Blade, an action title that stars dinosaurs using swords, starting off life as an animation, but is being expanded into a full game. And people seem to agree, since it has gained over 10,000 Steam wishlists in about a day, so let's hope that the game itself is good. Newsletter subscribers will have seen this, but if you have not, the action RPG Dragonkin the Banished last seen in my upcoming Diablo-like exile-style games video, is also releasing in March, where you have to destroy the dragons and looks kind of sick, although it does come to us from the developer of Warhammer Chaos Bane, which has mixed reviews, but maybe this will be much better. Watch that upcoming isometric action RPGs video here.
And if you fail, death